This is the homework help page for Unit 4, Lesson E. You should be accessing this only after 20 minutes of solid individual effort. Taking a look here. Problem number 11. Whenever you do anything using special right triangles, the first thing you should do is go ahead and write out the 30, 60, 90, and 45, 45, 90 table. So, as a recap, in a 45, 45, 90 table, the legs are equal. So you write leg equals leg. The hypo is whatever the leg is times the square root of 2. In a 30, 60, 90, we start with the short leg. And the hypo is whatever the short leg is times 2. And the long leg is whatever the short leg is times the square root of 3. I'm going to wait for you to write that down. So now in the triangle to the right, we're going to start with the 45, 45, 90. Why are we starting with that? Because that's the only triangle in which we have something. So I'm going to pull that triangle over here where you can see it. And we have 6 square root of 2 is given. These two sides are equal. Our goal is to find the leg. Well, you ask yourself, the leg times root 2 gave us 6 root 2. So you solve for 6 root 2. You ask yourself again, something, this is how we solve, something times root 2 is 6 root 2. Now once you find that, you write it down, and then you're going to notice now you have a 30, 60, 90 triangle. So I'm going to bring that one over here. And once you solve for that, you're going to end up with the short leg. And the short leg to the long leg is a timesing by root 3. And the short leg to the hypo is a timesing by 2. Start by solving for the left. Start by solving for this leg first, and then take it from there. Coming over here, once again, you want to start by writing in the charts. So in a 45, 45, 90, the leg equals the leg. The hypo is whatever the leg is times the root 2. In a 30, 60, 90, we start with the short leg. The hypo is 2 times the short leg. And the long leg is whatever the short leg is times the square root of 3. So for here, we notice that we're going to start with this triangle here on the right, which is a 30, 60, 90 triangle. And this 6 is the long leg. So we need to work backwards to figure out what was our short leg. So to get the long leg, it was whatever the short leg was times the square root of 3. So you ask yourself this, something times the square root of 3 gave you 6. That's how you start this. Something times the square root of 3 gave you 6. So something times square root of 3 gives you 6. Once you have that figured out, you can use that to solve for your hypo going this way by timesing by 2. And then you can solve for the 45, 45, 90 triangle. Once you have that solved, you'll have one leg. And then you solve for the 45, 45, 90. Coming this one, we're going to find all missing variables, A, B, C, D, and then X. You want to start with what's simple here. And this is ultimately a trapezoid, but because you have right angles here, we see the simplest thing we can find is that this is 20, that's 20. Now let's start by working over here on the left. We see that we have a 45, 45, 90 triangle. And we know in a 45, 45, 90 triangle, to get from the leg to the hypo, you times by root 2. So the way you want to start this for A is that something times the square root of 2 is 24. You can use that information to solve for the rest of the sides. And then once you have A, you should notice as well that that gives you this green segment because it's an isosceles right triangle. And if you have that green segment, that's also going to give you D, which on the D is a right 30, 60, 90 triangle. Number 14 says find everything you can to ultimately find X. Add segments as needed. Well, I haven't really taught you anything about trapezoids, so your first order of business is to change these trapezoids into right triangles. So from here, go ahead and drop down a right angled segment. Now, look, you have a 30, 60, 90 triangle on the right. Drop down another right angled segment. You have a 45, 45, 90 triangle on the left. Let's start by writing those tables out. "30, 60, 90 table. And the 45, 45, 90 table. Again, these should be memorized. 30, 60, 90. You have short leg, long leg, hypo. Whatever the short leg is, the hypo is double. So it's 2 times the short leg. The long leg is whatever the short leg is times the square root of 3. That's your 30, 60, 90 table. In a 45, 45, 90, the legs are equal. And the hypo is whatever the leg is times the root 2. Root 2, not 2. So coming over here, let's start with the simple stuff. We know whatever this short leg was, which is this blue segment from here to here, whatever this was, all we had to do is times by 2 to get 12. So something times 2 gives you that 12. Go ahead, solve for the something and then work yourself over, find all other segments. Your ultimate goal is to ultimately find this length X from here all the way over to there.